Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, November 6th, 2018. Happy Tuesday, happy election day. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Today is election day. The markets have been kind of waiting ahead of this day here to see how election day will turn out. That will give us a better sense on how near-term prices may move, but typically speaking, based on the data in midterm election years, the market tends to be higher in the months after the election on average. So right now we'll see how this plays out, but again, not expecting a whole lot of action throughout much of the day. We may see just a bit of back and forth trading range activity. Please go out and vote. Today would be the day, obviously the last day. Early voting is over and there's not going to be a whole lot of action in the market to show for it. So again, please go out and vote. And we'll see how this thing plays out. But for right now, what you'll see is that clearly we have a downtrending market that's been in play. We have the rejection day that came in on Monday, and then we have two absorptions days here. And that's, sorry, this was Friday, and then two absorption days, Monday and Tuesday. Today we're either going to see a stop run in after hours trading through these highs, and you're going to see a big push up, or perhaps you could start to see this thing head lower down within the downtrending structure within this market. It is quite possible we see a bit of volatility in both directions, at least near term, before you see that kind of real push. So again, tend to stand on the sidelines on this type of day, but again, opportunities are everywhere in the market. But in terms of the averages, in terms of the market indexes, likely to see more chop than not. We do have an upward bias. It's been very bullish here, so a failure to hold 2700 would be significant, but if it can continue to hold 2700, we could be squeezing all the way back up toward 2878 half. Alright, let's take a look at the NQ. Here you'll see the NQ looks very similar. Again, we had the rejection on Friday, couple of absorption days, failed new low yesterday, holding and chopping around the previous month's close, the October close so far, and still hanging on to the 6900 level. Yesterday price got below 6900, 6865, and then rallied back up, and so it saw a little bit more weakness because Apple was showing quite a bit of weakness yesterday. So again, this one right here is kind of coiling up for the event. We could be again chopping back and forth throughout the session, and eventually we'll find some directional conviction later on, either this evening or perhaps later on this week with the FOMC on deck as well. Now let's take a look at crude oil. You'll see here with crude oil we have pushed below those lows, the 63.41's big time level right there. Price pushed off of that level multiple times yesterday to the tick. 340s, 63.41, 63.42, all that zone kept getting buys, and then it failed to hold that area by the end of the day, closed near lows. You have a failed new high. You have two-day failed attempts above that pivot low, and 2 days you've closed below it. Now we're trading below it the entire session so far today. Only 24% of ADR. All of these are trading 20% of average, 30% of average, some are even 10%. So this is very, very quiet right now, but at some point this pivot's going to be very, very important in terms of upside conviction, because if bulls can take price bid through that pivot, it will open up some upside again back towards 69.34. That'd be the high probability target, and then over time we may see something toward 75 and perhaps even as high as 76, 77, right? So we could be looking at much more upside, but we could build out down here for a while before we're ready to see that move. So again, right now still very bearish. Bulls not really able to take the ball and run with crude oil right now, and there could be more near-term weakness until that can be seen. Alright, let's take a look at gold futures ahead of the election day. Gold is gearing up within a large rounded bottom. It has developed this for quite a while. This could be a huge move for gold. If price can push through 1240s finally, this thing could launch to the upside, and this could be a multiple month rally toward 1360. I think the first target will be the quick one, and that can get you to 1287. But as I mentioned in the last weeks of October and during the November monthly outlook, I mentioned that gold could be the buy of the month here, especially if it can bounce off 1216s. That was the buy zone. That's the low of the month, 1216.10. And now if it can push through 1240s, I think it has a good shot to rally throughout much of the month back toward 1287.60. Now, in order to get to 1360, it might take 2 to 3 months to get toward that level, if it gets there at all, because after being down here, we may see price rally up toward 1287s, go through it to 12, say the 1310s. That would be the 100% expansion target. But then once that happens, we could see a deep pullback and chop, chop, chop around value for a while before it's ready to continue higher. So that's what tends to happen once you get back to value. We haven't traded value in a very long time since it took it offered back in June. This has been a long time coming to get back to that level, perhaps through it, and then we could see some chop. So that's going to be the playbook here for gold moving forward. If there's any failure to get above 1240s, or maybe there's a failed breakout attempt, again, we could see 1120 down below. That's the next major target down. All right, lastly, let's take a look at the bonds, ZB. This one, again, I got mildly bullish on this one. I thought that, you know, if it could only get above 139.14s here, we could see an attempt to push back toward recent support and maybe even all the way up, and it failed. And when that failed, again, it led to quite the pullback, and we're right back where we started, which is basically in a downtrending market for the bonds, holding below these pivots. And so, again, is this already kind of a precursor to the election? We'll see. They say the bonds don't lie, right? And so this continues to remain in a downtrending market. Perhaps that remains bullish for the stocks overall. It's going to take a move back above 140 to get this ball rolling here, and perhaps a rejection here and then a start up could do that. At some point, a rally could take us easily back toward 145.27s, but it really takes above 140, and right now we're holding below that zone in a downward trend on multiple time frames. So this one just can't seem to find footing and remains very, very bearish. But again, if price can get above the LV in here, back above that prior pivot high, it could be quite bullish moving forward. So that's something to look forward to here after the elections and the FOMC. All right, that is it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, go vote, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.